Yasuo as a champion is the embodiment of getting told that you're going to Home Depot as a kid. Not because Home Depot is the worst store to go to, maybe as a kid, top 5 worst, but usually it's on a Saturday morning, and back then you had these things called Saturday morning cartoons. And so as such, going to Home Depot meant you were missing your Mega Man NT Warriors, or you were missing your Sonic X's, or whatever the heck you used to watch on a Saturday morning. And the problem with that when you're a kid is that in elementary school, like just a few years ago, you could get up and play all day, every day. Suddenly you're in this thing called school, which you gotta have to go to and work hard. Look, your fingers weren't made for finger painting. This is all foreign and weird. I got a color, and now you gotta tell me I gotta color inside some lines? I can just color wherever I want. I colored on the walls before here. You're trying to put some order into me that I just don't want to deal with. But now I go through that hard work week of mine at school. I want to veg out with my Saturday morning cartoons. And now we gotta go to Home Depot, which has a whole bunch of toys and stuff that then I get told I can't play with because I'm not an adult. So it's like a lose-lose all the way around. That's literally what Yasuo is in champion form in League of Legends. That feeling right there. On top of that, the problem with Yasuo isn't just him as a champion. It's what he does to players after they've left the games, the kind of nightmares he'll give you. I can't go on a walk and enjoy the sun with a gentle breeze blowing without that giving me flashbacks of what Yasuo has done to me and my team in some of these games, especially that high noon skin. The Yasuos that get fed, they always use that high noon skin, and it's always the Yasuos with the project skins you gotta watch out for, because they're the ones that are probably about to feed on you. And what's called the Yasuo effect. See, the problem that some people don't understand is Yasuo isn't problematic because he's unbeatable. I, as much as I don't have skill in this game, have been able to beat my fair shares of Yasuos in laning phases and gone on to win a game off of that. Sure. It's just that what's called, again, the Yasuo effect, in which case Yasuo either feeds really hard or he gets fed really hard, and there really kind of isn't an in-between. There are a lot of champions that can get fed really hard or feed really hard, but maybe they can come back or you can do something with it anyway. Look, our bot lane Kog'Maw is getting bodied, but we can recognize that's because they're putting a bunch of attention bot side. We can make a move across the map somewhere else. We can still win the game through the top lane. Get Tryndamere, the new Rift Herald that decides that he wants to bash his head into a tower and break it down like it's cardboard. Like, that's balance in any form of the word. But whatever, right? We can maybe do something else. With Yasuo, it's not the case. If you're Yasuo fed, it's most likely he was in a solo lane. So now you've lost a solo lane, and even if your bot lane's doing okay, bot lane's not going to be doing as well as a solo lane is for a while regardless, because they're sharing experience, they're sharing gold, it's going to take a while to get some items. So that's part of the problem with the Yasuo getting, or feeding, is that he was also one of the solo lanes that you were hoping maybe got fed and got rolling, that didn't. So that means an enemy solo laner got fed instead, and they're probably going across, they're probably Riven, let's be real. They're probably jumping like every 2 seconds because they have like no cooldown and mana cost, wrecking everybody's faces, and now Yasuo, who you would hope would be able to do something, can't stop him. Your Lee Sin jungle, who was already mad from minute 1 because you didn't leash red just right. It's not that you didn't leash the red buff, it's that you didn't leash it just right. He wanted you to pull it into the brush, and you did, but then he wanted you to pull it beyond the brush, but he never said that, and it's crazy. It's Lee Sin. But beyond that, now he has to regulate himself to the top side of the map the whole time, and your bot lane getting ganked all the time by enemy Vi because she realizes, hey, I'm never going to have to worry about Lee Sin being down here. Cool. That's the Yasuo effect in a sense on the feeding side. On the fed side, and usually that's the Yasuo we're playing against, the high noon skin, he's doing the same thing the Riven's doing, but it's Yasuo, who can also just duel really well. He's also going to scale well until late game because he builds crit and stuff, but also spikes harder on crit than crit champions usually do. A Jinx building crit is going to be super annoying when she gets those items. She's not, I'm not even gonna, that's my favorite champion, I gotta admit. Yeah, even she's going to be annoying. That's what crit champions kind of are. They have a bunch of damage. But Yasuo is going to spike really hard earlier on a static Shiv than a Jinx that might rush a Hurricanes, okay? He's going to have wave clear, he's going to have dueling potential, and his ultimate's going to hurt too. And that's when we come down to Yasuo as a champion though. What really is the issue with Yasuo then? If the issue is the Yasuo effect, feast or famine, right? It's like, okay, well then the trick is to make sure if you're playing against Yasuo, is to play counters into him, right? And that actually is a good idea. I personally, that's not really like a secret, at least I hope it's not. Hopefully people knew about this before I say it, but I personally like playing Morgana into Yasuo, especially in the mid lane. I find that, you know, maxing W and when you're not in the support role is one of the best ways to just play Morgana. But on a more serious note, the Dark Soil, or Tormented Soil, whatever it's called, it goes over his wind wall, and because it does ticks of damage, especially with Deathfire's touch, you're going to also take down that passive shield he has, and you can just kind of farm from a long range if you can't get close to Yasuo, or you can consistently harass Yasuo through his wind wall and through his passive shielding with the Tormented Soil, let alone the Dark Binding if you actually land that, or the ult if he gets close range. And even though his ult isn't really magic damage, the Dark Shield kind of does help if you do happen to get hit by a tornado and he goes in on it. It won't absolutely save you, but it might do something. So in other words, the answer is to find counter picks. Now granted, that doesn't always necessarily work, because that's sometimes part of the problem with people understanding why people don't like Yasuo. It's not the fact that maybe you've never beaten Yasuo before, it's that there's always that chance that you're being paired with the Yasuo that's going to feed really hard. Or you're going against the Yasuo that maybe you shut him down, but he knows how to go to other lanes and get fed off of those guys because they don't really know how to play against Yasuo on whatever champions they're playing. It's not even that they don't know how to play against Yasuo, but maybe the champion they played was a counter pick for their matchup, and it's not good against Yasuo, which is kind of part of why the Yasuo picked Yasuo to begin with. And even though you're botting him, he can TP bot lane and just get kills that way. That's kind of part of the problem with Yasuo, and why with this whole 10-ban system coming in, some people are fearful that Yasuo is going to be permabanned, they're never going to get their hands on him, or they're celebrating that they're never going to get to see him. Now, I brought up briefly the circle jerk earlier, because if you go on Reddit, obviously everybody on Reddit is full of nothing but challenger tier players, and obviously if they're complaining about Yasuo then, that must mean he's an actual problem. But is he, or is it just more so people don't really share often how to really play well against Yasuo because they feel like he just does too much? What's the point of trying to educate people? And maybe that's part of the problem. Because Riot did mention that if Yasuo is at a balanced state, but he gets permabanned, they don't really want to nerf him because it's not a matter of him being too powerful. He's just getting permabanned because players kind of just don't like him. In which case, they're kind of trying to address the reasons why players don't like him. And I've given this example before in the past, but I'll give it again for the sake of this video. I don't like Wind Wall. I have war stories about how bad Wind Wall is. The only thing that can make Wind Wall worse on Yasuo is if when he used it, it also summoned Janna, and then Janna and her foolishness, because that is one of the worst support champions to play against if it's in the hands of a really good Janna player. That champion just does some of everything great, and she has a knock-up to empower the Yasuo as well. But getting off of Janna for a second, I don't like Wind Wall because I don't like the hitbox. It as an ability, I'm okay with, right? Braum has a shield, there's different kind of shields in the game. Just having a shield in the game is fine. But if I'm Jinx and I see you coming because I put a ward down the river and I successfully start running away with enough time, and then you use my minion wave to get to me, which already is a little bit sucky to begin with, those guys should be working for me. That's why I don't pay them nothing, because they will betray me in the blink of a dime. But furthermore, this Yasuo wants to use my minions to get to me, then flash Wind Wall, and the Wind Wall goes behind me. I'm thinking, oh, you're just trying to be too flashy, you messed up, I can throw my flame choppers down, and then I can kite you, or I can just flat out run away, and you use your flash. You don't have your E. If I get away from you, I'll get away from you. That's my thinking. Logically, that makes sense, but no. I throw the flame choppers in front of me, they somehow end up behind the Wind Wall that's behind me, now I'm dead. Now, I can't flash away fast enough because I was calculating him getting snared, so I wouldn't have to waste my flash. I could keep my flash. I'm an immobile Jinx. I want to keep that flash as long as possible. But no, now he E's onto me, he kills me, and then that's that, and it's all because this weird hitbox effect with the Wind Wall works the way it did, and I don't like that. Until Riot addresses things like that, I probably will have an issue with this champion, because honestly, beyond that, I don't really have that much of an issue with this champion. Now, yes, I could keep joking around about like different like war stories I have, how this champion ruins games and does this and that, but ultimately I think the biggest issue for me is really like literally just that Wind Wall. It's not that he can't be annoying otherwise, but in my opinion and experience, any champion in their power spike especially can be annoying. Like I said, I absolutely love Jinx, but her power spike is one of the most annoyingest things to play against if you don't have counters. So part of the reason I'm making this video is maybe we can get a discussion started about what do you do to counter Yasuo, even if it's not necessarily picking Riven, because maybe you're playing mid lane, you don't want to pick mid lane Riven. Maybe you're playing bottom lane, and you want to think of what's something that can maybe survive better against Yasuo if, you know, it gets to the point where he's getting bodied by somebody, so he wants to TP bot and try and roam and get kills that way. That's the main focus of this video. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Specifically comment so we can get a conversation started about what to do about Yasuo if he's not permabanned, or if we're on the other side of the coin and we like playing Yasuo so we don't want him to get permabanned, we don't want him to get nerfed. what's the thing that maybe we can empower the player base to know to help them be able to deal with Yasuo a bit better. But that's all for this video. I don't know which video will be next, because life will be quite a mess. So until next time, take care from the Frogger FS, and thank you for watching.